to your desk, to your table, to your wardrobe, how they arrive and how you can make that better. Then we're going to hear from experience from a developing world city in Mauritania about how they're using innovation to be more resilient to things like flooding. Then we'll have a coffee break, and after that in the afternoon, the second session, we'll have 4 presentations, short, sharp presentations giving concrete examples of different applications of technology and innovation in different parts of the world. So we're going to start with a discussion first of all on smart ports, and I'll move to here. And I'm joined by 2 colleagues for this discussion. So first of all is Antonio Calvo, who is Head of Innovation and Digital Transformation at T-Systems and a World Export in Smart Ports. And sitting next to him is Carlos Rua, who is Head of Strategic Projects and Innovation in Barcelona Ports, but also representing the Smart Ports Alliance in this discussion. So both of you, welcome. So maybe I'll start with you, Carlos. We hear a lot about smart ports, and you have a whole section here in the exhibition on this. So why do we need smart ports?
Okay, ports have started to think in the concept of smartization since 3-4 years ago, not more. No? Why? Because mainly because the world is changing. No, but I will give you three I think good reasons. First one, I'm sorry if there is some civil engineer here, but infrastructure is becoming a commodity today. No? If you go to the port of Barcelona, if you go to the port of Valencia, if you go to the port of Marsella or the port of Genoa, you will see more or less the same. There will be breakwaters, there will be quays, there will be cranes. All the cranes are made in China, so there is no differentiation on that. So infrastructure is becoming a commodity, and you have to develop new layers of services, of technology, of knowledge in order to be more competitive. Okay? That's the first reason. The second one is because the relationship between the ports and the city is becoming stronger. That means that till the 80s there were 2 different worlds, the port and the city, and there were no connection between them. There was a tall wall between them, and it was impossible to know what happened in the other side. Now you need to open the port. There is a close relationship with the port and the city in terms of economic development, because the port needs the city in order to grow, and the city needs the port in order to grow. So we are very, very integrated. And the third reason is because the demand is changing. There are huge changes in the demand. Our main clients are more demanding on ports and on supply chains. So one of your missions, if you satisfy your clients, of course, and they want more information, more transparency. So the only way to get a differentiation for your infrastructure, to become or to be more linked to the city and to become more answering the needs of your customers, means that you have to be smart.
And of course for e-commerce, when I click a product I want and I want it on Monday, you'll be a big part of ensuring that people can get that flow of products. So you're a technologist by background and worked in lots of different industries. Do you apply all the kind of techniques we are familiar with on smart cities to smart ports? How does it work, and how does it work for a product coming through into the port and going out the other side?
Okay, well, let me answer this question from the customer side, okay, and users or factories, okay? Yeah. For example, when you buy a product through internet or you launch your purchase order, you want to get it as soon as possible. Also, you want to know exactly where your parcel is at any time, and also the status of your order. And thirdly, I think it's not less important to know proactively if any incident, any change is going to impact on the date, on the delivery date that you were given when you placed your order into the system. Sorry. Delivery services are going to improve dramatically, okay, by implementing in the ports this kind of technologies as blockchains, VR, 5G, AI, okay, with creating new data platform, okay, to share and to exploit the data through analytics solutions, okay. I see three main improvements, okay. First would be a delivery time. A delivery time is going to be faster.
Yeah.
I think the less time to load a truck, the faster you are going to get the product, okay, at the right location. Digitization at ports means that we can close the gap between the demand curve with the capacity curve. Help the customers, okay, to write the best decision in this intermodal operations world, okay. Analytics will be key, okay, to define the minimum and the most cost-effective path, okay, to move one container from point A to point B within the port, okay, from the ship to the train or to the truck instead.
Yeah.
Second, track and trace.
Yeah. So you know exactly where things are and where they've
yeah, because I think a transportation process is going to be more transparent and more faster, giving the customer more data accurately.
Yeah.
And third, last but not least, would be flexibility and security.
Yeah.
Okay, because creating a new communication path between the customers and the supply chain, okay, having the right information. For example, if you know that your parcel is going to be later or before, you can even to change the delivery address if you want to.
Okay, great. So that's all about efficiency and time and speed. Presumably there's big sustainability benefits from doing things innovatively and smart in different imports. And can you say something about what Barcelona is doing and what the big wins are for the port and for the city?
You have to understand that when you go to the port and you see the vessels and you see a black smoke and it seems, oh, this is not sustainable, but you have to recognize that the maritime transport is the most sustainable way of transporting things in the world. I mean, because when you are moving things with a vessel, the pollution of a vessel has to be divided by 40,000, 15,000, 20,000 containers, and that's more than 20,000 trucks in the road. So one of our missions as a port is to promote the maritime transport because that. So what we want, for example, in the port of Barcelona is promote first, the short sea shipping. The short sea shipping means to put the trucks inside the vessel in order to move them, for example, to Italy. So one of our success cases is, for example, the connection between Barcelona and Rome, because it helps us to take out about 150,000 trucks from the roads, going for the coastline and so on and so on. No? We are also promoting the rail transport. Okay, and at this moment, for example, it's very difficult to find a truck between the port of Barcelona and the city of Zaragoza, because nearly everything, more than 90% of the transport is done by train. Well, that helps a lot.
Yeah,
no?
yeah.
But also, we have to work also in the maritime transport, because, of course, it's the less pollutant way of transporting things, but it's also pollutant.
Yeah.
The Port of Barcelona, for example, is leading some different projects in order to try to solve this situation.
Okay.
For example,
So you made it clear, moving things by water is the most sustainable option, more than road and more than rail. We get that. When the ships do come into port, there will be air quality, there will be emissions, there'll be other issues. How are you dealing with some of those?
Well, we have a project to electrify all our wharfs. That means that in the future, not now, it's a long-term project, all the vessels calling at the port of Barcelona will have to plug themselves in order to avoid emissions in port.
Because at the moment they leave their engines running.
They have the engines working and so on with diesel or low sulfur fuel, but they are pollutant. But we have the project to promote electrification in port for vessels. Additionally, we're promoting LNG. LNG, everybody knows that it's a transition fuel, but
LNG,
it's a liquefied natural gas instead of fuel. It's a transition fuel. I mean, in the future, long future, we will talk about hydrogen or methanol or some other fuels, but it will help to reduce the pollution at ports. So we are working in this kind of alternative fuels. Also, in the next future, we will start to produce energy in a clean way. That means we will put some windmills in the port, and we will use solar energy panels in order to provide energy for the vessels calling at the port of Barcelona. So we are working on that direction, and many ports are working on that direction. So I think that in future it will be a better situation for ports, pollution, and port cities itself.
Okay. So it's a really good lesson from there, because I think if we're going to meet future carbon targets, I always think shorthand is to do two things: electrify everything and then decarbonize the electricity supply. Electrify everything, decarbonize the grid. And you're doing both those things. You're plugging ships in, so they're not keeping their engines running, and then you're putting solar roofs on all the sheds. You're going to put wind turbines on the port, where it's windy, and have a green supply. So that sounds really good. So let's look at Barcelona is obviously doing a lot. Where else in the world, is doing interesting stuff? And maybe you could both think about, what are the best things you've seen out there, and are there any technologies particularly that you find really exciting and really cutting edge? First to you, Carlos.
Okay, well, first let me share with you some facts and figures. Europe's coastline is almost 50,000 miles long. Okay? It means 23 countries with more than 1,200 ports. Okay. Also, it's interesting to see how important the ports are. Okay, for us, that more than the half of a population in Europe is living less than 30 miles far from the sea, and also very important fact is that around 90% of the imported goods is coming in through the ports. Okay. Then, looking at Spain, we have almost 30 ports here. In the top three, in the ranking, in the top three, it's leading by Algeciras, Valencia, and Barcelona, taking, or according to the millions of tons managed last year. But this is not a matter of size, but also the leadership and innovation. And when it comes to innovation, I think we have to highlight Port of Barcelona jointly with Port of Antwerp in Belgium, Rotterdam, the Netherlands, Hamburg in Germany, and of course LA in US and Montreal in Canada, that they are leading a very inspiring and interesting projects in environmental, sustainability, clean energies, 5G, digital twins. I think it's very, very important, this type of projects to gain in efficiency.
So in that leadership, we'll talk about Barcelona in a minute. In this leadership, are there any particular technologies or initiatives you think that everyone should know about?
Yeah, well, there are some of the technology that now we are in pilots, okay? But blockchain would be to unify and centralize the information, because we have to see the ports like a little but hectic city also. And then blockchain would be one trigger. Also, and analytics now, because I think we have a room of improvement to gain this type of efficiency, okay, and to reduce cost. And what I told before, to approach the demand to the capacity. And for do that, we need to have and to process a huge amount of data, historical data, okay, to be able to forecast and to predict the demand before it happens.
Okay.
I would like to add that one of the technology that, as we have seen these days here that are applied for many ports is the concept of the digital twin. We call it the twin port.
Okay.
Okay, is to have a digital twin in order to make simulation, to analyze what happens in the port, to make predictions about the future, and so on. And
do you have a digital twin for Barcelona port?
We have started to work on it. Okay. To have a digital twin, it's very, very difficult. It's not something, no, I want a digital twin, please give me, I can buy in the supermarket, no?
You're
so you need years and years to develop one. No? So we have a 3D model of the port, and we have started to develop some applications over this 3D model. But you need time and time in order to get a complete, nobody has it now, right? Nobody. And it will take many years to get that. Another technology I think it's very powerful and not many times named is video analytics. The use of cameras in order to know what's happening in the port. For example, to count people, to count taxis, to count buses, to know what's the behavior of the people inside the port, to know how many trucks are waiting in a queue in front of the terminal, and that will help you to manage what's happening in the port. And also for security purposes, because instead of sensors, you can put a camera, and if, I don't know, if there is some spill or something like that, the camera can detect it with different refraction and different temperature of the environment and so on. So it can help in many things.
And what about drones? Are we going to see, some of the logistics delivery companies coming in with a drone and picking up their particular packages and taking them either directly to the client or to their warehouses?
This is for the final delivery more than for the long range transport.
Okay.
They
won't come straight to the port.
It's difficult for me to see drones making a delivery inside a port. It could be from a warehouse to final destinations or so on. So for the last mile, I think it could be a very useful solution, not for the long range transport, but it can help inside the port. For example, we're trying to work with maritime drones. Everybody, when thinking about drones, thinks in flying drones.
Yeah.
But maritime drones and submarine drones can be very helpful for some difficult task.
Yeah, and for monitoring and so on. I hear a drone can come out and fly above the funnel of a ship and take a reading of the pollution and then fly back and say, is that a polluting ship?
It does exist. You can work.
Okay, so you're trying to do lots of sustainable and innovative things. Talk to me a little bit about your experience, about what the barriers are to this. What's stopping it happening? What's slowing it down? What do you need to remove in order to realize all these opportunities?
Okay, well, we are finding some technical barriers. I don't want to talk about the barriers, but
solutions,
challenges. Because but we definitely that we have technical barriers. Now we are trying to scale projects, and then what it works for a port, perhaps it cannot work for another port. Okay, then scaling is something scale. Also, it's local regulations. Okay, as you know, local governments they are not as flexible as we need, okay, to carry out this type of project. For example, some local governments doesn't allow to use cloud, okay, because they want to have the asset on site. Then it's a problem to use cloud. It's key to share data in a very fast manner. Also, I think it's the barrier is the ecosystem by itself. Because ports are very important, but they are just a link within the supply chain. then to coordinate the pace to add new stakeholders into the digitization, okay, and to synchronize this pace is a challenge.
Okay. So kind of regulation and ecosystem. What are you seeing as barriers?
I think that regulation is one of the most relevant barriers because the maritime transport takes along all the world. That means that, I mean, for example, the electrification of the world, that is one of our projects. If I'm a ship owner and the Port of Barcelona says me, okay, you have to plug in the Port of Barcelona, they will ask me, the plug will be the same in Barcelona, in Valencia, in Rome, in Los Angeles, so, or we will have to have, like when you travel, that you have this kind of device to connect everything. But the plug of a vessel is like this. I mean, it's not this small device. It's something like that, and you need a crane to move the cable. So,
and the benefit here is that you don't have to drive on the left, right?
No, that's that's right. But that means that as a ship owner, if you don't have a regulation for all the world about how the plug has to be, I will not modify my vessel. Because this vessel today is here, tomorrow is in Rome, the day after that is in Rotterdam, and the other one is in Singapore. So I don't have the same system, it doesn't work.
Okay, we have time for 2 quick questions from the audience. So anyone want to ask anything of these 2 experts about smart ports in their operation? Okay, if no one's going to do that, I'm going to ask the final question then. So if we get this all right, every port is probably hosted by a city, because we built our cities around ports. If we get this all right, what are going to be the bigger benefits for city administrations and the citizens of that city? When you make a smart port and get everything right, what will be the benefits to the host city? Any thoughts about, closing thoughts on that?
Well, sorry, go ahead.
I think the relation of the city and the port depends on the model, because there are many models of ports. In Spain, for example, ports belong to the central government. I mean, we depend on that, but there is some people from the city hall in the board of directors. No? So, but we belong to the central government. Some ports in some countries are private ports. Sometimes it depends on the city, sometimes on the regional government. And then the relationship could be more or less tense or hard or so on. No? But I think that we have to have a very good relation, because if you see Barcelona, now the port is open. I mean, if you go to the Ramblas and continue, you will arrive to the port. That's the port, that belongs. And you are not able to see where the border is.
Okay.
I can tell you that if you take the statue of Colón, the Colón statue in the port, one of the lions belong to the port, and the other 3 belong to the city. But nobody knows that, no? So I mean, where is the end of the city and where is the start of the port? Nobody knows, and that's good. Because that means that the port is quite integrated with the city.
Okay. Final thoughts?
No, I think thinking on a city like Barcelona, I think there is a good opportunity to create new business model, okay? Because you are a leader in terms of tourism, then combining, okay, a technology as VR, how to plan a visit of a city, that the people that they are coming through a cruises, okay, and then to exchange this data between the port and the city. I think it's a very good opportunity.
Good. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. We show our appreciation for these 2 gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Next, I would like to welcome to the stage Miss Aminata Lo. Where are you? So Aminata is an architect from Mauritania, and she's going to talk a little bit. She's going to talk in French, okay? So you're going to need, unless you speak French, you're going to need some headphones to understand this. She's going to talk a little bit about her experience in using innovative and smart approaches to make her city of Nouakchott more resilient to things like flooding, and how her and other African cities are responding to smart smart initiatives and opportunities. So please put your hands together for Aminata.
Merci. Bonsoir à tous. Moi, c'est Aminata, comme M. Peter l'a dit. Je suis architecte à la région de Nouakchott, en Mauritanie. Ce que je vais essayer de vous présenter, c'est en fait les solutions qu'on a essayé de trouver durant les inondations en 2013 et comment, par rapport à la situation de Nouakchott, on essaye de rendre la ville plus résiliente et plus accessible. Okay. Pour ceux qui ne connaissent pas Nouakchott, capitale de la Mauritanie, elle fait environ 1,1 million habitants sur une superficie de 40 000 hectares divisée en 9 communes. Cette capitale, elle est littéralement née des sables. C'est le surnom qu'on donne à la ville. C'est une ville qui est née à partir de rien du tout. En 1960, il y avait deux campements. Deux campements, c'est-à-dire que la ville, on l'a construite à partir de rien du tout. Et elle est délimitée de part et d'autre par l'océan et de l'autre côté par les dunes de sable. Ces dunes de sable, elles sont mouvantes. Donc, la ville court un risque d'ensablement. Et de l'autre côté, l'océan, il y a un risque de submersion marine. Cette situation, elle est aggravée par l'urbanisation rapide. L'urbanisation rapide, ce phénomène est le plus marquant ou bien le plus rapide en Afrique de l'Ouest. Elle est passée en 2000, en 13 ans, sa superficie a triplé. Qu'est-ce que ça a conduit comme conséquence? L'État n'arrivait plus à suivre l'évolution de la population. La ville se développait dans tous les sens, sans contrôle, sans aucune planification, je peux dire. Et ça a fait que les quartiers précaires se sont développés dans la ville, les quartiers précaires et informels, et se sont développés plus dans les zones inondables et les zones difficiles d'accès, où il y a beaucoup de sable. Après les fortes pluies de 2013, la moitié de la ville était sous l'eau. Pas de système d'assainissement, pas de système d'évacuation des eaux usées. Qu'est-ce qu'il fallait faire? Il fallait trouver une solution urgente pour que les populations qui sont sous les eaux puissent trouver une solution rapide. Ceux qui avaient les moyens ont quitté, ils sont partis, loués ailleurs. Ceux qui n'avaient pas les moyens, il y avait des sortes de campements qu'on avait organisés dans les écoles où l'eau n'avait pas atteint, pour qu'ils puissent s'y installer en attendant de trouver une solution. Ces populations déplacées, à un moment, ils étaient installés dans les écoles. Les écoles, à la reprise des classes, il fallait les libérer. Ils n'avaient pas de solution. Ce qui a amené automatiquement l'État à réfléchir à comment résoudre cette problématique, le ministère de l'Environnement, plus la région qui était anciennement une intercommunalité, c'est-à-dire le regroupement de plusieurs communes, plus en collaboration aussi avec la GIZ, la coopération allemande, pardon. Ils ont pensé à un projet qui s'appelle adaptation au changement climatique des villes côtières. Qu'est-ce que ce projet consistait à faire? Un diagnostic participatif, plus participatif, c'est-à-dire que la solution va venir de la population, parce que c'est pour eux qu'on trouve une solution, qu'on cherche une solution. Eux, ils sont capables de nous dire de quoi ils ont besoin. Et en fonction de ça, on va établir une solution adaptée à la situation qui est adaptée à la situation de la ville, localement. L'idée première était qu'on ne voulait plus d'eau stagnante. Il fallait carrément enlever cette situation de l'eau qui stagnait pour que la ville ne soit plus paralysée en période de crise. La démarche, qu'est-ce qu'elle proposait? Elle proposait une stratégie de proximité, s'adapter de manière très efficace au changement climatique. Nouakchott est l'une des villes les plus vulnérables d'Afrique. C'est une réalité, le changement climatique. Si on a vécu en 10 ans, 20 ans à Nouakchott, on sent réellement que le changement climatique, il existe. Et les effets sont ressentis au niveau local. Donc, il faudrait trouver une solution rapide pour que cette ville soit plus résiliente. Cela passe par les infrastructures plus adaptées. Le projet adaptation au changement climatique des villes côtières. La première chose, il fallait éviter que la ville soit paralysée quand il pleut. Ça, c'est la première chose. La ville ne possède pas de système d'évacuation des eaux de pluie, ni des eaux usées. Nous avons un système d'assainissement ou bien de collecte des eaux usées personnalisé, par personne, par domicile, je veux dire. Donc, la solution qu'on préconise, c'est de faire un drainage des eaux. La première chose qu'il faut faire, c'est qu'il faut niveler tout le site pour que l'eau puisse être évacuée d'une manière uniforme. Et vu qu'on n'a pas un système qui regroupe tout le quartier, on a procédé par bloc d'habitation. Là où la circulation est moindre, nous avons utilisé des moyens beaucoup plus par des caniveaux. Et là où il y a vraiment la circulation, nous avons placé des tranchées, des tranchées drainantes. Et là où la circulation doit se passer, on est passé sur du massif absorbant et sur lequel on a placé des couches de sable compactées pour que l'eau puisse couler et que les voitures puissent circuler. Et on a proposé aussi des réserves ou bien des bases où l'eau va être stockée en attendant d'être pompée ou en attendant d'être reliée au futur, peut-être, réseau d'assainissement. Schématiquement, ça donnait ça. Et sur les espaces ou bien les bassins où on mettait le stockage, au-dessus, on a voulu valoriser un peu cet espace-là, qu'il ne soit pas juste un espace pour stocker de l'eau. Au-dessus, on a essayé de mettre des espaces peut-être de jeu, des aires de détente ou des espaces publics, des bancs, pour que les gens puissent s'y installer et que cet espace soit un peu valorisé. Et là, sur l'image, vous avez vu comment l'eau il est drainée et que ça passe par les caniveaux pour être stocké ou bien évacué vers le futur réseau. Le deuxième scénario, c'était par rapport au centre de santé. Les trois problématiques ou bien les trois zones les plus touchées, c'était la circulation à l'intérieur de la ville, les centres de santé et les écoles. Les centres de santé, qu'est-ce qu'ils avaient comme problème? Il fallait qu'ils soient accessibles à tout temps. Durant les pluies, la plupart d'entre eux n'étaient pas accessibles. Donc, il fallait trouver non seulement une solution pour l'évacuation des eaux usées, mais aussi les eaux de pluie. Nous avons pensé à peu près à la même solution pour le problème des quartiers. Mais là, le plus-value est que cette eau usée va être recyclée. Recyclée comment? Il va être retraité et on ne va pas le verser à la rue, mais on va utiliser ça pour arroser les plantes qui sont à côté. Donc, on ne pouvait pas mettre un bassin à l'air libre à cause des problèmes sanitaires. Et on ne pouvait pas aussi laisser cet espace, ces bassins-là, vides. Donc, il fallait aménager des espaces pour que ça puisse, ce eau-là, qu'on puisse l'utiliser pour planter des arbres, par exemple. En gros, ça donne ça. Le bassin, il est enterré. L'eau, avec le béton perforé, nous avons une infiltration de l'eau. Et au-dessus, les espaces de jeu, ou bien les aires de jeu ou de détente autour des centres de santé. Et comme ça, il continue à être fonctionnel et qu'en même temps, cet espace-là peut servir de stockage pour les eaux de pluie. Pour le traitement des eaux usées, c'est la même chose. Le centre avait déjà un système de traitement, mais la moitié n'était pas fonctionnelle ou bien la capacité n'était pas adaptée. Donc, il fallait extendre le réseau pour qu'on puisse récupérer les eaux usées des autres bâtiments et que les traiter pour qu'on puisse ensuite le redistribuer dans le centre en arrosant les plantes ou bien les jardins maraîchers qui étaient à côté. Il fallait les arroser avec. Le troisième, c'est dans les écoles. Les écoles, quand l'ouverture en général est en octobre, on ne reprend qu'au mi-décembre. Il fallait attendre que l'eau sèche dans les écoles pour que les cours puissent commencer, parce que l'école n'était pas accessible. Donc, il fallait trouver une solution pour évacuer les eaux, pour résoudre ce problème de paralysie de l'enseignement. Les toilettes, dans les écoles en général, ils ne sont pas du tout accessibles ou en bon état, donc il fallait les réhabiliter. Utilisation des fosses septiques pour le traitement des eaux et en même temps faire de cet espace-là un espace récréatif qui soit attractif quand je sors de la cour, que l'espace où on stocke l'eau, les enfants, ça sert de cours de récréation où les enfants peuvent jouer et tout. Autour des salles de classe, on avait une dalle en béton qui était surélevée et qui parcourait toutes les classes. Donc même quand il pleut en saison de pluie, l'école était carrément fonctionnelle. Et aussi nous avons pensé à un système on appelle ça un système alvéolé, là où on stocke l'eau et qu'après il puisse être utilisé et redistribué partout à l'école. Partant de cela, à la région, nous avons compris, ou bien on était conscients d'une chose, que la résilience peut aussi passer par le digital. À Nouakchott, ce qu'on appelle le système d'adressage n'existe pas. Personnellement, je n'ai pas d'adresse fixe à Nouakchott. Donc c'est une solution, c'est une problématique à laquelle aussi il fallait trouver une solution. Cette solution, c'était quoi? Intégrer ce qu'on appelle Aston un réseau de 12 villes d'Afrique. Et au niveau de ces villes-là, chaque ville devrait choisir une problématique propre, que ce soit l'e-gouvernance, le traitement des déchets, la fiscalité, pour y répondre de manière locale et surtout très détaillée. Là, c'est le réseau des 12 villes. Nouakchott, nous avons décidé de travailler sur l'adressage. Parce que l'adressage, ce n'est pas le fait de mettre l'adressage, ce n'est pas seulement, comme j'ai dit, une question d'utilité civile. C'est aussi un levier qui peut servir à développer d'autres secteurs, que ce soit le secteur des banques, le secteur du transport, le secteur même la sécurité, et dépend de ça. Si moi, je n'ai pas une adresse fixe, si jamais il y a le feu chez moi, je ne sais pas comment les secours peuvent arriver jusqu'à domicile. Donc, c'était vraiment devenu une nécessité par rapport à ce projet-là. Et nous, on avait vraiment décidé de travailler sur ce projet-là dans le réseau. Le réseau, on partage des expériences et ça permet aussi de profiter de l'expérience des autres. Parfois, d'autres ont fait d'autres choses qui ont marché que nous, on pourrait utiliser pour avancer plus vite. La première chose qu'il faut faire, ce qu'on appelle un état des lieux, le numérique. Où est-ce qu'on en est réellement? C'est la baseline study. On fait une étude de l'état du numérique dans la ville. La deuxième phase, on va élaborer un plan d'action qui va nous servir à travailler. Quelles sont les solutions qu'on va apporter face à cette problématique-là? Et la troisième chose, on va élaborer un prototype. Le prototype, c'est quoi? Par exemple, nous qui travaillons sur l'adressage, nous allons choisir une zone et on va faire l'adressage de cette zone-là correct avec une application qui puisse servir à tout le monde et que les gens peuvent aussi, tout le monde peut utiliser. La problématique aussi qu'on a rencontrée ou bien qu'on pourrait aussi améliorer, c'est les services urbains. Parce qu'on se dit, le numérique, à la fin, c'est quoi le numérique? C'est juste pour faciliter ou bien rendre meilleur ou bien accessible la ville. Donc les citoyens ont besoin que les services soient accessibles, que ce soit le transport, le développement des activités économiques, tout ça doit être accessible. Et on a pensé que cela peut passer par le numérique. Une ville aussi grande qui se développe de jour en jour a besoin forcément d'un système de repérage. Sans ça, on se perd facilement dans cette ville. Les quartiers périphériques. Il faudrait aussi trouver une solution, que ce soit par les infrastructures résilientes ou par le système de digitalisation des données qui pourront servir aussi à améliorer l'accessibilité à cette ville ou à sa résilience. Pour finir, j'aimerais juste dire que le numérique peut être un facteur de développement si on sait s'y prendre et comment l'utiliser. Elle peut aussi servir à faciliter l'accès aux services. Et en ce sens, on n'a pas besoin réellement, à mon sens, on n'a pas besoin réellement d'avoir un projet super sophistiqué ou super grand. Le projet, il est là pour répondre à certains besoins. Il faut qu'il soit localement adapté et qu'il puisse répondre aux besoins de la population. Sur ce, je vous remercie pour votre attention.
Thank you very much.
Merci.
No. Aminata.
Oui. Ah, oops.
So while you think of questions for Aminata, I have one question for you.
Yes.
All the flood resilience that you built in, I can think of very good case study and very good examples. Have there been flooding incidents since, and how did it work? And how's the city responded to other, heavy rainfalls and flooding incidents?
Donc, juste pour dire que ça a été un peu compliqué, parce que la solution, il n'y a pas une solution que je peux dire adaptée, ou bien une réaction rapide. C'est juste savoir qu'est-ce qu'il faut trouver pour que ces gens-là, qui sont dans l'eau actuellement, qu'ils puissent s'en sortir. Que ce soit en améliorant les services d'évacuation des eaux, en améliorant le service d'accès à certaines infrastructures, certains équipements. Il n'y avait pas comment dire, c'était pas une ordonnance qu'il fallait écrire, juste pour dire voilà, la réponse est là. On a cherché et tout ce qu'on a trouvé comme solution, c'était ça. Les infrastructures, il fallait qu'elles soient résilientes, qu'elles soient accessibles à tout moment, qu'il pleuve ou qu'il neige, il fallait trouver une solution. Donc, je ne sais pas. C'était juste par rapport à ça.
Any other questions? One from here.
Hello, thank you for a fascinating presentation. I'm curious if you could talk a little bit more about resilience and how the digital infrastructure would help with resilience with the on-the-ground conditions as the climate emergency continues to worsen.
OK. Je ne sais pas exactement, est-ce que j'ai bien compris la question, mais moi, ce que je peux dire, je ne sais pas, est-ce que j'ai réellement compris la question, mais tout ce que je peux dire, c'est que rendre les infrastructures résilientes est une nécessité. Et c'est une nécessité dans la mesure où une ville aussi impactée par les changements climatiques que Nouakchott se doit de réagir. Se réagir, c'est se dire, voilà, les solutions, elles sont où, comment les trouver, et que surtout ne pas importer. Parce qu'une solution qui a marché peut-être dans une autre ville peut ne pas marcher à Nouakchott ou ailleurs. Parce que les conditions sont différentes et que selon moi la résilience dépend de chaque situation. C'est comme ça que je vois les choses. Je ne sais pas, est-ce que ça répond un peu à votre question ou pas. Oui.
Okay, so if there's no more questions, we will thank Aminata again for her presentation. And we're going to break in a moment for coffee, but just let me sum up I think what we've heard this first session. So the discussion on ports made it clear that ports, moving stuff by the water is the most sustainable way that we can move things. We're going to be doing more and more of it as the economy globalizes and we rely more on international trade. We can use lots of smart solutions and technologies to make that more efficient and more sustainable. And if you haven't been there already, go and check out some of the stuff around the Smart Ports exhibition area. And then afterwards, it was wonderful to have a presentation from a country and a city that I know nothing about before today, to have a snapshot about how in sort of maybe not the technology advantages that we have in our cities, the innovative responses, people-centered responses to problems like climate change and flooding that have much bigger and more devastating impacts in cities like Nouakchott. So thank you very much for that presentation. Also, if you can now go and get a coffee or do what you want for 15 minutes, and we'll resume again at 10:02. So you've got 15 minutes, and we'll come back again and hear the last 4 presentations. Thank you. Well, good afternoon, and welcome back. So in this session we were supposed to have 4 presentations, and unfortunately Herman Kante, our first presenter, hasn't arrived. We don't know why. He was going to talk about an amazing project, a wooden tower in Lagos. So you're just going to have to imagine in your mind that wooden tower in Lagos, and maybe look it up online. So apologies on his behalf. But we have a range of excellent speakers to share stuff with you this afternoon. I'm going to look at very different viewpoints, in fact, on how we can make infrastructure more smart and more sustainable. And first up is going to be Sharon Diner, who's an architect who works for the Jerusalem municipality, and is going to be talking about how she's using earthquake resilience planning as a tool for regeneration in the city. So, Sharon.
I'm sorry, but okay. So, my name is Sharon Dinour. Shalom, everybody. I'm coming from Jerusalem, as you heard. Just behind me, you can see the historic city outline of Jerusalem as it viewed from the old city. Historic city of Jerusalem is the part of Jerusalem that's surrounding the old city. It's not as ancient as the old city, but it is dated to 18th and 19th century. Everybody knows something about Jerusalem, but I don't know if you are aware of the fact that it is located next to the Syrian-African Rift Valley. Geologists say that every 100 years we're having a big earthquake in our region. The last one was in 1927, so every 100 years, you can do the math yourself. It's coming soon. And the buildings in the historic city of Jerusalem are not ready for this earthquake. Many of them, the majority of them, are very old. The other part are maybe, you can see here in this photo, that some other parts are like housing projects that were built back in the 50s for newcomers. So they can be accommodated really quick, really cheap. And of course, they are in very bad shape today. So before I'm going on with this horror story about earthquake, I want to stop and say something about the historic city of Jerusalem. So you can see the historic city of Jerusalem. It's very beautiful, it's ancient, it's very nice to walk there. But for many years, it's suffering from neglection and deterioration. We did something great 10 years ago. We brought the light rail to the middle of Jerusalem, crossing the historic city. I know in your country, in your city, public transportation is used by public, of course, but in Jerusalem, everything must be complicated. So it is a great success story when you think about it, that all sectors in Jerusalem use this light rail. And you can see the before and after. Just 10 years of using this light rail, and it was a great success, and the street level is changed, but rather other parts of the city, the historic city, are still suffering from neglection. Now I want to tell you something. There are many ways to deal with buildings in the historic city of Jerusalem and with the neglection. I mean, even that the buildings are not reinforced against earthquake, if you do a new plan and you authorize a new plan for addition to your house, you must reinforce, by regulation, you must reinforce the house. I mean, so if you have an extra floors, extra stories, the existing house must be reinforced against earthquake. But the thing is, I don't want to tell you like the whole process because it's long and boring, but it takes so many years to approve a plan. And then it's not including even the permit process. So as I told you before, we don't have this luxury of this time. We came up, when I say we, it's the Israeli government, came up with a plan, how to reinforce the building. First of all, you must realize that Israeli government and municipality, we don't have the money. It takes a lot of money to reinforce building, and we don't have this kind of money. And actually, the neoliberal economic decision is not to be involved with private property. So you can see in this image a very bad shape house falling apart. And we were thinking, how can it be reinforced? In the deal we are offering, we did a master plan. We are offering this deal between developer, the tenant that live in the existing building, and the city. In this deal, the tenant will give the roof rights to the developer. The developer will build new units on top of it. The tenant will, in return, will get reinforcement of their own house, and they will get 25 square meter addition to their house, which is in, I don't know if you've ever been to Jerusalem, we have very high birth rate, so 25 meters is a blessing for most of the people. The people that living there usually cannot afford their reinforcement themselves. So in this process, they are getting this reinforcement without even taking $1 out of their pocket, and the city growing inside, getting more strong. It's a sustainable building because it's not going to outside. We are not developing outside of the city line to suburb. So everybody wins in this process, and it's a short process. It doesn't take years. I wanted to show you why this deal is especially great in Jerusalem. You can see on the left side that the value of the property is high in the historic city. But surprisingly, the people that live there have the lowest income. Well, this is a great opportunity for both sides to do this deal. And very high value, the developer would like to build this new unit and makes his money, of course. And the people that usually are in very bad condition, they can improve and make an extreme over to their house. So the first example I brought to you is like this multi-unit public housing. It's very bad shape. You can see the wire is exposed, the infrastructure are exposed. Actually, you don't have to wait for an earthquake for it to fall. You can just a good kick, I think, will be enough. But on the right hand, this is not rebuilt. This is reinforced. I mean, I took this photo myself, and I still can't believe it. This is the same building because it's such an extreme makeover that is unbelievable. And it's brought a big, big change to the whole area because when people that live there see this change and how beautiful it is, everybody wants to renew now. By the way, the people that live there, they didn't afford even $1, but the property value now is $250,000 more. I mean, their own units worth now, without doing anything, they got this present just out of this deal that it cost nothing to the municipal, to the government, and to the tenant. The other example I wanted to show you, well, we wanted to give extra right in this very complicated situation, and only in complicated situation because we don't want to hurt the historic city of Jerusalem, which is, it's not very high, it's low, but still, in some occasion, like here, it's a Bauhaus structure, but you can see on the right side that it's been neglected for so many years. It's been deteriorating. It was covered by other structure. The public could not enjoy, not the yard or not the Bauhaus structure. And well, this is 3D. It's now on progress. It's not yet built, but we approve extra units and extra right on this, above this preservation house, because now it's uncovered. Everybody can enjoy it, and the yard is back to now the public can enjoy this big yard. So I think it's a win-win too. I want to tell you the last thing before I finish my lecture. Well, this method, it's for reinforcement, but it could be used for any city purpose you can imagine. If you want to add public use, if you want to add, I don't know, public housing, all kind of other adjustments that you need to do. So maybe it will help you in your own city too. Thank you for listening. Come to Jerusalem.
Sharon, thank you. Almost seems like counterintuitive. The response to earthquake vulnerability is to build higher, but amazing what you've done there. And as you said, lessons for many other cities. We'll ask more questions from the audience after all the speakers have had their say. And next we're going to go to Phil Hall-Patton. Phil is the head of project enabling at Heatherwick Studios. If anyone knows Heatherwick Studios, they're an architecture practice based in the UK. Done a lot of interesting and innovative buildings around the UK and around the world. And Phil is going to talk about how he is using a design framework to embed sustainability principles into their buildings from now on around the world. So Phil.
Thank you. Firstly, good afternoon, and thank you to the organizers of Smart City Expo for inviting me to speak to you today. As Peter said, my name is Phil Hall-Patton. I'm the head of project enabling at Heatherwick Studio. The studio consists of around 200 people, including architects, designers, and makers, working on over 30 projects across the world, ranging in scale and scope from the cauldron at the London Olympic Games, some of you may remember, to the design and construction of Google's headquarters in California and London with BIG. My role, it's a slightly cryptic title, involves supporting projects in all aspects of delivery, as well as developing the studio's strategic direction on issues such as sustainability and accessibility. Designers have a huge opportunity and responsibility to make a positive impact on the planet. We're at the forefront of prescribing what and how things get built, so need to be making sure we're designing the most beneficial buildings possible. We have to be the cheerleaders and advocates of change. To that end, I would like to present to you today a particular approach we've been developing in the studio that we refer to as a human-centered sustainability. This is in no way meant to distract from the current climate emergency, nor by reference to the human are we referring to the individualistic and ego-driven concerns of modern consumerism. Human here refers to humanity and the collective experience of living in sustainable cities. Human experience is a central concern in many of the studio's projects. Our position is that the metric-driven demand to do less bad is critical, but that this must be balanced by engaging with the more intangible qualities that create beautiful buildings and spaces people want to live in, enjoy, and take ownership of, leading to longevity. In doing so, we can seek to do more good, and I use these terms after Michael Braungart. Buildings are inherently energy and materially intensive to construct, but we believe there is a risk of designing well-performing buildings that may meet and even exceed environmental targets, but that no one wishes to work in or live in. A holistic approach becomes necessary to weigh up the many and complex issues to find the right balance in any project. So the studio has a number of design values that inform and guide the way we work. Our framework looks at the issue of sustainability through the lens of these values to identify strategies that enrich our design process and create opportunities to make our projects respond even more particularly to questions of place and placemaking. We've sought to align our design values with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals so that sustainability permeates our entire design process. I propose to look at 3 of these to demonstrate our approach to human-centered sustainability in practice. The first of these, deep materiality, responds to both environmental and human concerns around placemaking. We place materiality at the heart of our projects and acknowledge the importance of recycling and reuse in our designs, embracing circular economies. But we really take existing buildings and the existing fabric of the cities as part of that stock, buildings as material banks. We believe that existing buildings can give a project a soulful quality in the way new buildings often lack. So we bring ingenuity, another of our design values, to the ways we might reuse existing structures that might otherwise be demolished. Here at the Zeitz-Mocker Museum of Contemporary African Art in Cape Town, we developed an innovative solution for carving a void out of the concrete tubes of a grain silo, first constructed in the middle of the last century and initially considered for demolition. But we also specifically look for both local materials and local craft skills, and this is a really important aspect for us, both as a way to reduce the carbon footprint of material transportation, but also as a way of reinforcing the material qualities that create a sense of place unique from any other. Here at Coaldrops Yard in London, we sourced reclaimed London stock bricks locally for the extensive restoration of the 2 heritage buildings, and also worked closely with local craftsmen to deliver the flying slate roofs. Which leads to our belief that we are makers. This design value began with the studio's interest in using making as a way to enhance the design process, but also in the fact that we ourselves built a number of our early projects, such as this project for artist studios in Aberystwyth, building our own crimping machine to use stainless steel sheet that would otherwise have been too thin to use in a normal cladding. So a very material and resource efficient solution. But our interest has now grown to those who build our larger projects for us, prioritizing local skills and the handmade over industrial processes, along with advocating for the vocational training of construction workers to ensure our projects embody a long-term social and economic legacy that extends beyond the construction phase. So we capture our intentions at the project outset through the creation of a sustainability charter that we ask both clients and contractors and everyone in the supply chain to sign up to, ensuring the ambitions identified at the outset of a project follow through all of the subsequent stages. In the context of environmental and sustainable design, we engage with questions of human scale. This is the last of the design values I'd like to refer to today, and we do that through the integration of landscape, nature, and architecture. The three-dimensionality and sculptural forms of our designs afford opportunities to combine spaces of a human scale with a design of microclimates that address questions of light, shade, and orientation, but also increase biodiversity, well-being, and social interaction. A good example of this is our 1,000 Trees project in Shanghai, which is currently under construction, which seeks to create a forest of trees above a high-density, mixed-use development, reducing pollution and mitigating the heat island effect. We believe, forgive me, I don't wish to claim that as a studio we have not felt challenged to make the right environmental decisions in our designs, but this framework gives us a structure where we can consider the many and complex issues involved toward making better choices that balance environmental and human needs in designing sustainable cities for the future. We believe it is possible to create and sustain projects that speak to both human desires and climate needs, and I hope this presentation may provide some food for thought for how others may do the same. Thank you.
So Phil, we're going to ask questions afterwards. Just one thing that stood out. So why do you put the trees on top of concrete towers rather than at street level if it's a human scale, kind of driven design?
Well, this was a particularly significant development in Shanghai. It's an entire urban quarter. To place trees at ground level would have been really restrictive in terms of the amount of space that was available. And so we found a way to develop through the three-dimensional form a way of both integrating the many mixed uses. So really, if you live in Shanghai, if you were to live in this particular area, you could work there, you could live there, and you could be entertained there. But trying to find a way that there was a park there originally to one end of the site, and in redeveloping, we didn't want to build to lose that amenity. So the intention was to lift that carpet of green over the top of the structure itself. So I think we have more of it than we would have otherwise.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, and for our third talk, we're going to have a double act, I think. So Dennis Cornett is Director of Intelligent Transport Systems in the Public Service of Wallonia in Belgium, and accompanying him is Carmen Munoz, and she's the CEO of Citelum, which is a division of EDF, a lighting division of EDF that many of you will know. And they're going to talk about an amazing smart lighting project they've done, which delivers multiple benefits to the region in question. So, Dennis, you're going to speak first, I think.
Okay. So just before introduction, you will have a movie, I See You in the Dark, and this movie will explain how we can have the lights in Wallonia. Please.
Illuminate Sofico's 1,675-mile network of Walloon national roadways and highways in a smart and ecological fashion. This is the goal of Plan Lumiere's 4.0. This smart road lighting system, combined with the installation of roadside units, will transform Walloon highways into Europe's first connected highways that will be adapted to future self-driving vehicles. This ambitious project will allow us to convert the 100,000 sodium lights that illuminate our roads with more energy-efficient LEDs in the next 4 years. The combination of LED lighting with this new lighting management system will yield energy savings of 76%, which represents about 1.3 billion kilowatt-hours. In addition, greenhouse gas emissions are expected to be cut by 166,000 tons over 20 years. A true asset for our safety, the LED system will offer less diffused lighting and better color vision. To ensure optimized lighting usage, the lights will adjust to real-time traffic, weather conditions, accidents, as well as road constructions. In partnership with University of Liège's scientists, Plan Lumiere 4.0 also aims for biodiversity's preservation. By preserving Natura 2000 zones, among others, lighting will take into consideration the behavioral specificities of Wallonia's animal species regarding light. Plan Lumiere 4.0 is a 20-year public-private partnership. It will create 400 new jobs and will require 100,000 hours of training.
So I think in 2 minutes you got the presentation. I would like to stop now, but I will explain what the basics are for the Walloon region. It's a public-private partnership. It's why we are here, both speaking. It's also a public-private partnership for 20 years, 600 billion euros. This is the basics. But the basics is also the need of the Walloon region at the beginning of the project. It's a 9 years project. We needed 9 years to prepare it. So it's 9 years. We think about the project and we think that our network, our light network, is old, really old. How can we build a new network? How can we build the network of the future? So you heard 2,500 kilometers, 100,000 lights, some electrical networks, more than 2,000 kilometers, some masts that are old. We think about renewing this. The first thing of us is to have LED technology, to have less consumption. It's the first thing we thought about. And the rest, it's, okay, we have new lights. But the problem today, we have lights, okay, it's still working, but the citizens are complaining about the lights. They are telling us this light is not working since ages. So we thought about computer for this project. We asked to have a computer system that can monitor the lights, that can help us to have a maintenance, an efficient maintenance, and to prevent the problems before the citizens notice it. So it's really some new technology that is visible for the users, is the lights, and some computer that will help us to maintain it correctly during 20 years. And this is the basics of what we thought. This is also a partnership. So the private took more on the basics. They put the added value, which I would say the main value. And the main value, I will give the floor to Carmen.
Okay, I wouldn't say that this is the main value, because something that is key is that to have a smart infrastructure, you need to have a smart clients. The first question is to have a clear needs explained. And for the Wallon government and Sofico and SPWay, it was very clear that the infrastructure need, it was something key to solve different problems. One of them was the economic problem. Today, before the works, the lighting of the Wallon highways is very expensive. It uses lots of energy, and so reducing the cost of that is key. You have also environmental issues, because in one side you are putting a lot of carbon in the atmosphere because you are wasting energy, and on the other side, today you can see Wallon highways from the moon, because the light is going upstairs. So that's not good for the nature neither, so find solution for that is key. And another key point was about the user of the highways in two sides. One was about having a well-maintained infrastructure and knowing when to mend lights that are not working, as Denis said, but also about improving the safety of the highways, because today you have many accidents. You know, the Wallon highways are not exactly highways. It's almost city roads, because you have lots of dwellings around. It's a very dense network. So how to improve the safety of that? And we did it together with technology. So as you have seen in the film, we have implemented a lighting master plan to reduce consumption. Is 76% of calcium reduction. We also have put a lot of sensors to gather information on the highways. So we have weather information. We can adapt the light on weather. We have also cameras, CCTV, that get information. For example, if you have an accident on the highways, and so we can increase the light to protect the area where the different services are doing the job to improve the situation after an accident. And also we can send message to the user of the highways. For example, when you have a car that is entering the system in the wrong way, it happens in highways, and so we make flicker the lights so that the cars are informed. The one who is in the wrong way can know that there is a problem, and people coming on the other side have the information, please go slower because you have a problem in the network. So improving safety, improving environmental issues, and also reducing the consumption. So is that something that is key? Because today, when a problem is clearly defined, as it was the situation from the Wallon government and Sofico and SPWay, we can find the infrastructure and the technologies that can solve the problem. And something that is very important, we have also shown that we are going to implement a vehicle-to-grid intelligence system to prepare the future, and is that using edge computing and gathering information close to the grid, close to the highway, and sending this information to the user at the nearest point of the infrastructure allows to improve everything very quickly, because you get the information at the local level, you use the information at the local level, and you can inform cars and users on what's happening in the infrastructure. So that's all.
It. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just before we open to the audience, do think about your questions. I want to ask you one very easy question, which is the return on investment. We know that switching lighting has immediate benefits. So how many years did you have return on investment for this project? And then the second thing is, I was fascinated to hear that you were concerned about biodiversity and nature, because most of these kind of big city infrastructure projects, they worry about money and they worry about citizens and users, but they don't really worry about the natural world. So it'd be great to hear a little bit more about how you integrated thinking about biodiversity and the natural world into it.
In terms of investment, I wouldn't say it like that. There's no return on investment on this. There was a decision to keep the lights on the highways. There was a political decision to protect the citizen and the users of the highways. But I would say that we will reduce the consumption, and we will get money from this. And the money from this, we can renew the masts and the lights.
Yeah.
And within 20 years, it's more or less the break-even of the project.
20 years.
20 years.
Okay.
It's why it's a contract of 20 years.
Most city movement to LED is much quicker, isn't it? Yeah. I imagine the payback. Yeah.
We will move in 3 years.
Yes.
We move
Yeah.
to LED in 3 years,
Yeah.
and then the next 70 years is for maintenance and efficiency.
Yes. What is very important to know, of course, is a 20-year project for the client. It won't change what they are paying every year, because what they are paying today for energy is going to pay for much less energy and for the infrastructure cost. And you need to know that we are talking about highway. So you have the light, but not just the light. You have the lamppost.
Yeah.
It's high lampposts, and we are going to renew many of them. And you have also the cables, because the cables and the cabinets are old too. And today, for example, you have many breakdowns on the infrastructure because the cable or the cabinets are not working. So it's a very huge renewal project. It's not just a city lighting, switching to LEDs. It's all the network, and putting much more technology. You know, putting also vehicle-to-grid communication system is something that is key for highways. You don't have the same issues for cities. In many switching to LEDs project in cities, you are not necessarily putting this vehicle-to-grid technology. But for highways, it's the future. If we don't do that, it will be obsolete in 5 years. So we are preparing the future with a much more flexible system, upgrade system, and of course for the client it's very interesting because they are not going to pay more than they are paying today, but they are paying today for the energy, and for the next 20 years it will be energy and new infrastructure adapted for the future.
Yeah. Okay. So questions from you. If you have a question, please go to the microphone and say who you are and ask your question either to the entire panel or to anyone in particular. So who's going to be brave and ask a question? Yes.
Thank you so much for your interesting presentations. My name's Despina Anastasia and I work for a material science company. My question, probably targeted more to the architects, is what role do you see 3D printing or some of the other type of emerging technologies in some of your designs? Okay.
So emerging technology like additive manufacturing, 3D printing, how are you using those?
I'm happy to start that. We are actually in the process of a collaboration with IAC, the Institute of Advanced Architecture Catalunya. We're very much interested in the ways in which technology can be used with local materials. So there's a project which IAC have actually developed around 3D printing using mud as a material and earth. And that, of course, we're all surrounded by earth wherever we are in the world. It has very particular qualities. But that we're intrigued by that opportunity to combine technology with something which is more real and more related to context. And we haven't found yet an opportunity to take that research and development and find an application for it, but we're very much interested in doing so.
Yeah. Are you using 3D in any way?
We don't use 3D, but we do investigate materials, different materials, because as I was saying about reinforcement, it is expensive. It uses heavy material, old-fashioned weights. We look for a new solution because it could cut costs in maybe half. So if you have any idea for me, I will catch you later.
Yeah. Yes. And you might have seen as well. Dubai did. They did their Museum of the Future. They printed it all, the whole building and everything in it, with 3D printers, and they're inhabiting that building. So it's happening in lots of places, off-site manufacturing, but also on-site 3D. There's the bridge in Amsterdam as well, the canal bridge that was printed in metal across the water. Any other kind of questions and thoughts for the panel? Yes.
Hi, I'm Neya from Luxembourg. Just a question to the Belgian representative, just to know if there is any perspective to replicate your project or models outside of Belgium.
I didn't.
I guess it is. It's why we are here today. No. In most of the country in Europe, there is no lights on the highways. We built this, I think, 40 years ago. I wasn't born. We saw that in the other part of Belgium, they will dismantle all the lights. We saw that in Holland, they first switch off the lights, and recently they decided to put the light back. What is the incentive of this is to give a service to the citizen, to the user of the road. And in the past, you can understand it was expensive, time-consuming, with a technology that asked to change the lamp every 2 or 3 years. But now the technology allows you to change it every 10 or 12 years. And you give a better service to the citizen. And it's more understandable for them. I don't know if you can do this on some other countries because you have more investment on the mast, on the network, etc. But what I see today is the trend is to have a connected road. And this light along all the roads, it's the first step to have all the connected road and the ability to talk with the cars and the cars talking to the infrastructure. So with a low cost of energy consumption, I think it's 8,000 house to have the lights for a year. 8,000 house. It's not that much. You give the service, and you are the first to allow new service on the highways with less investment. I wouldn't say zero investment, but with less investment to have highways connected and road connected. I think it's the future. But it's the purpose of the project. We are preparing the future. We are giving lights where we are preparing the future.
Yes, I would say that many of the technologies that we are implementing in this project can be also used for city project, not just for highway project. For example, all the edge computing technologies that allow to gather information from the road and identify if you have a car, but it can be also a bike or someone walking, gather this information at a local level and use it to put light on or off, and so just light when it is necessary and not waste the energy when it's not necessary, is something that we can use also in cities. And I think that in the future, we are going to have more and more car out of the city, and the city center will be just for public transportation, bikes, walking people, and so on. And probably some of the public transportation will be with robot cars and this kind of automotive that is going to communicate directly with the infrastructure. So I think that we are preparing the future with this project, but many of the technologies that we are using there will be implemented also in city project. And another thing that we have not explained is that we also gather the data with a smart infrastructure platform that is called Muse. This data is owned by the owner, by the collectivity, by the SPWay and Sofico, and all those data can be used to provide better services for the users. And so this smart city platform that is evolving with every new project can be used also, is used also for cities. So the technologies are very replicable.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Yes, please come.
Hi, this is Andres from Spain. I was just wondering what the upfront costs are for this new lighting technology and new infrastructure projects, new roads. I was wondering if this is feasible for developing countries for their completely new infrastructures. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
The budget is 600 million euros, but not for a brand new infrastructure. We will reuse the masts that are still usable. we will renew the network that contains problems. But all the lights will be renewed, everything. Yeah.
Probably more specific. So do you think that this new technology would be applicable for developing countries? Would the upfront cost for this installation would be?
Yes, what I could say is, today when you do lighting everywhere around the world, you use LEDs. Right. So you don't use anymore all the technologies with sodium lamps and so on. So once you put LEDs, you can dim the LEDs. It's quite easy. So usually, if you dim them well, you can gather 20% more energy savings. So I would say that when you do as a greenfield, putting sensors and using edge computing technologies is something that will be useful. You can improve the infrastructure. And a smart city platform, when you use IoT, when doing the greenfield installation, is quite interesting. It's not very expensive. Right. So if you are doing a greenfield project in developing countries, you are going to implement LEDs, and putting this layer of technology will pay with the complementary energy savings. So I say yes. But what is very important is to have the engineering to do that, because if you do that in a bad way, you don't get the energy savings. You need to have good engineering companies, good companies implementing the project to have the quality and the energy savings that are going to pay for the platform and the sensors.
Right. Thank you very much.
I'm going to ask Sharon a question while you think of other questions. I'm fascinated by the adding more space on top of buildings, adding new layers, and because you could, potentially densify our cities, solve our housing problems, revitalize our suburbs, solve all sorts of city problems by just building on top of existing buildings. That's all fabulous. What are the downsides that you encounter? What are the drawbacks?
This is a great question. You know what? I need another lecture for this the downside. There are downsides for this proposition. First of all, it's a short. What I showed you, it's a short process of permission, which means not so many committees test it, and it's very fast, and it's not been researched or investigated like we would like to do in other urban plans. So this is the first downside. The other one, what is a betterment tax? We cut it in this case because we want developers to come and to do this addition in this very complicated situation. And the cut is a public cut because, I don't use the betterment tax to pay my salary. I use it for the city back. I put this money on a playground and stuff that the city needs. So this is another downside of it. And today we are in Israel observing this whole process, and we are trying to adjust it and improve it. We had something in Jerusalem. We had something like 5.5 years that we are already testing. There are many buildings that already been reinforced and other in process. And we are asking ourselves exactly the same question. Another thing that I didn't talk about is parking. Parking is the main issue everywhere, in Jerusalem as well. I can't say that one light rail solves all the parking problem of Jerusalem. And when you have an addition to an existing building, you can't dig a parking lot. You just can't invent it. So we're having problem in this issue too. Yeah.
So you densify without necessarily having the service.
We don't have all the this is the downside.
And what about streetscapes? Because our cities are built around streets that we can view from the ground, and certain heights and certain design that people feel and understand is right for their city. And have you had challenges for that?
You're talking about street level?
Street sites. When I walk around Barcelona, the buildings are all a certain height, and with residential and commercial on the bottom, and that feels right for Barcelona. If they added 2 floors ahead,
what would you feel? I was asking it. This is exactly the same question. My friend here can testify. That I was asking myself yesterday when I was walking in Barcelona. Can we really, when we are walking in the street, if it's a wide street, can we really tell if it's 8 floors? Don't look, don't count, okay? Just a feeling, just intuition. Can you feel if it's 8 or if it's 10? Can you tell? Can you really tell? Are you that good? The general public can tell. We need to really deal with the street level. A good street level is, I think this is the answer for most of the question. You know, don't have infrastructure on the street level, don't have all the parking in the street level. Make it very good. It doesn't matter if it's 8, 6, 5, maybe 24 is too much, okay, for the historic city, but otherwise we are okay.
Okay, well, that's really interesting, and I get it. Make the street level right, and you can add a couple of extra floors. So any other questions? And yes, please come to the microphone.
In Spanish, para los países emergentes que hacían la pregunta y agradeciendo la transferencia de conocimientos que nos hacen los compañeros de Bélgica. Recientemente he terminado mi especialización en ciudades inteligentes en Berlín y en Argentina, y el proyecto final de graduación estribó en eso, en hacer un proyecto pero para alumbrado urbano, no para autopistas, de tal forma que con el ahorro, que si ustedes escucharon bien es de un 70%, fácilmente se hace un retorno de la inversión utilizando un TIR, o sea, una tasa de interés de retorno, un valor actual neto, y fácilmente se ve que en este caso, que era de mucho menores luces, pero un alumbrado público urbano, en 5 o 6 años se recuperaba la inversión. Y luego lo otro es que el alcalde estaba muy feliz porque ganaba votos, tenía votos para volver a reelegirse. Y por otro lado, los ciudadanos no se tienen que estar quejando porque el sistema de telegestión fácilmente promueve que el mantenimiento sea constante y que los alumbrados no estén en mal estado. Y luego, la estructura del financiamiento es fácil porque hay empresas de luz, no voy a decir nombres, de empresas muy grandes que tienen intereses que ellos mismos ponen el equipo, con el solo hecho de recuperar su inversión en un plazo determinado.
Carmen, ¿puedes?
Sí, puedo contestar, voy a contestar en español también. Cada país es distinto, por supuesto, la tasa de retorno sobre la inversión depende mucho del precio de la energía y luego el coste del proyecto depende mucho también del estado de la infraestructura. En algunas ciudades, por ejemplo, basta con cambiar la iluminación sin tener que cambiar ni los postes ni la red eléctrica. En algunos casos, la infraestructura de iluminación está directamente conectada a la red, en otros casos es una red separada, así que cada proyecto necesita ser estudiado y no hay una generalidad. En Francia, por ejemplo, que es un país que conozco muy bien porque trabajamos mucho en él, el precio de la energía es bastante más barato que en algunos de los países emergentes y la tasa de retorno de un proyecto estándar suele ser de 12 años. Así que depende mucho del precio de la energía, del tipo de red, del estado inicial de la infraestructura y todo eso se tiene que valorar en un proyecto y establecerse y luego ver el modo de financiación más adaptado.
Completamente de acuerdo. Olvidé mencionar los países. Costa Rica tiene una matriz energética completamente renovable y el otro país que participó fue Uruguay.
So for those who didn't understand, the question is about the return on the investment in smart lighting, and the answer was basically it depends. It depends on the city, how expensive energy is, how much of the infrastructure, the poles, the wires and so on you need to replace, and you can see different returns from very quickly to 20 years depending on what you're doing. Any other final questions from the audience? Things you're dying to ask? Some of the top architects and lighting engineers in the world here. No? Oh, go on, yes.
My name is Guillem. We take part in an association, non-lucrative. Basically, we try to promote the culture of design in public works, infrastructures. So if we turn the light down in terms of inclusivity and we think about the people with visual despairs and blindness. Recently, 1 year ago, we opened up an internal project. It's called Bridging Senses, and we try to, the more beautiful, the smarter. We saw some examples by Philippe, so nice presentation. So a question for you is, if we think about these people that have visual despair, basically the idea behind all the projects you show is maybe the first idea is beautiful, or yes. How we can translate this to these people with, is an idea behind these projects to be inclusive, thinking about people with disabilities?
Sure. Thank you. So that's a really great question, because I have an answer for it.
Yeah.
So one of our 10 design values responds specifically to this notion of sustainable cities. That if we're designing cities and spaces that are truly sustainable, then they have to be inclusive. So we've developed then, off the back of our sustainability framework, a separate accessibility framework. And that is addressing both physical disabilities, but also neurodiversity. So neurodiversity is becoming an increasingly, in England, the British Standard is about to be released for the first time, which addresses that question. So for us, it comes back to trying to find the right balance on every project, where we're looking to make sure that everyone has the greatest access to the spaces in the city, and at the same time that we're addressing biodiversity and energy, and so it's the idea of the radar diagram that I showed at the end was to find the way that we can make sure that we're doing the greatest good for the greatest number of people. I'm not sure if that is actually answering your question as well as I thought it might. But the question of accessibility is really essential. We can't be developing sustainable cities without thinking of human beings, which is everyone. We are all of us at different stages of our growth and development. We will all have different impairments at some point in our lives. And so our designs need to try to find a way to respond to that.
I always like to finish on a positive note, so I'm going to put you on the spot as a panel and just ask you for like one thing that you, from your work and for the projects you've discussed, that you can share as inspiration, something that really worked, that you want people to take away in your head, either a lesson or an example, one thing that you really want people to remember from what you've said in terms of a takeaway. And who looks ready to start? Shannon, why don't we start?
Maybe I look ready, I don't know. I want you to know that maybe in other cities, other part of the world, a house for preservation is a house that you are not touching it, you're just preserving
yeah.
it. Yeah, sorry. But we don't have this luxury in Jerusalem. We are fast growing. I think we are the fastest growing, maybe in the developed countries. So we have to have answer for extra units. We don't want to build on top of a green area, and we have political issues. Of course, you must have heard about some of it. So we can't grow outside. It's not sustainable. We want to build out. So for us, building on top of preservation, neighborhoods and houses it's a must. This is the way it's go. Not only on this project, in all the projects.
Okay. So build up, Phil.
I think what's interesting for me in the context of this Congress is that there is such an apparent emphasis on the future of technology, or the future technology being the solution and the answer, autonomous vehicles, the Internet of Things. And I think our position would be that we should not forget the human in that. So in the last centuries, we designed cities that responded to the car, and that technological development had great impact on the spaces that we lived in and embodied. So I think, inhabited, sorry. So I think that always remembering the human experience can be a really positive thing in that.
Yeah. Dennis.
What I would say is that the project, or in general, the project without the partnership or negotiation would have been the same. Due to this partnership, we got some innovations. We got some new brilliant ideas. And it's a dream that can come true, and we never thought about it alone. So we are in the Smart City World Congress, we talk about innovation. Innovation, it's between two partners. And I heard also this morning that there is more two partners, not only private and public, but there's also academic partners. And the last one, we talked about it earlier, not here. The last one is the citizen. And the citizen was part of this project too. So there is 4 partners that are needed to improve our network.
Brilliant. Okay, and Carmen.
Okay, and to finish, I will say you will never see the Wallon Highway from the moon again. But they are going to be looked at from everywhere around the world. Thank you.
Okay, so I think, you know, we've heard from this panel, there's no shortage of innovation, brilliant ideas. Many of them are contextual, but many of them also can be applied in cities around the world. So it gives me hope for the innovation and the ability to change and respond to all the problems humankind and our cities are facing. So just thank our panel again.